much for being here last week for the review Q&A. It was amazing and I'm still getting feedback. So as you're listening to these episodes, make sure that you're reaching out through Instagram or my website because I love the interaction. And don't forget too that you can comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. I would love to continue this discussion with you. This week, we're going to dive into recalibrating. And I feel like this is one of the most important steps of all the pillars is you've got to evaluate where you're at. So that was last week. This week, we're going to make sure that you are moving forward and reevaluating all those goals that you set at the beginning because we want to make sure that you're moving forward with everything. There's nothing worse than a month, a week, whatever amount of time going by, you looking at your list and saying, oh my gosh, I've got nothing done. What was different this month than any other month that I went through before? And I want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we're going to dive into something that I love to talk about, and that's 90-day goal planning. Now, there's tons of books written about it. My favorite is the 12-week year, and it talks about getting your goals down in 90-day chunks. This has been a game changer for my business, and if you're not planning this way, I strongly encourage you to, because you are working through these goals that you're set for yourself, but you're also making sure that you're checking in on them. Are you making progress? What are your top 3 for the day? Are you moving those goals forward by little tiny steps? And that's the most important thing that you need to remember. That you might not have 5 hours to chunk down a massive goal and get it done, but you have little tiny pockets of time where you can make calls, where you can forward those goals and make them happen. One of the things too about planning in 90 days is you get to celebrate your accomplishments, and that's what we're going to talk about in a couple weeks. Because there's so many times that we forget to celebrate our successes. We just jump right into the next thing. So if that's you jumping from one goal to the next, make sure you tune into those episodes because those ones are going to be huge for you. It's helping you slow down and make sure that you're celebrating all the amazing accomplishments that you've done. So if you haven't read the 12-week year, here's a quick rundown of how it works, but I strongly encourage you to check out that book because there's so much good information. I reread it all the time. I have the audiobook. I even have the workbook. I love it so much. So if you haven't read it yet, make sure you do that. But let's just go top level overview of what it is. In order to implement the 12-week year, you want to crystallize your vision, develop your 12-week plan, keep score so you continuously improve, set up your processes and controls, reign control over your time, stay accountable and committed, and then celebrate during your 13th week. So the main things that I want to focus on with this recalibration episode is really making sure that you are setting up those processes, you are setting up those goals, and making forward momentum with them. And the best way to do that is by writing it down. Now, 12-week year has a planner, but you can also download worksheets that people have created or go to the 12-week year, purchase their workbook or any worksheets that are available on their website. There's tons of resources, really worth checking out. I think the biggest thing with the 12-week year is a rethinking the way you think about the year. So if you've been in any sort of a sales career, you know that the end of the year, so December, is when the final push happens. Everybody makes things happen because you've got goals, you've got quotas, whatever the case may be, the majority of the sales happen in December. And why is that? Well, because you want to hit your marks. You want to make sure that you end the year on a high note. And so when you rethink about your year as 12 weeks, you are able to accomplish a massive amount of stuff. So think of it like this. 1 year is 12 weeks. So you think and act in 12-week cycles, you bring greater focus, urgency, and energy to every day/week, and multiply the results. It's massive. It's changed my business. It's changed the way that I do everything because I've reshifted my thinking from thinking in January to December as years, but instead of 12-week chunks. So if this is something that you want more information on, I can definitely chat more about it. It is a huge thing all over the internet, and I really encourage you to check it out because it really can change your business. After 12 weeks, you're recalibrating your entire goal. So, what's great about that is if you weren't that successful, you revamp it, celebrate your wins, and find ways to fix it. If you killed it and accomplished the goal, you add a new one to the schedule. Now, in this book, Brian Moran details the 8 elements of high performance. So that's vision, planning, process control, measurement, time use, accountability, commitment, and greatness in the moment. You want to create that compelling vision. So that really starts with your vision board. So if you haven't created one of those before, make sure you jump back to my previous episodes because we've talked about that quite a bit and I think it's so important. One of the main breakthroughs with 12-week year is that you're breaking those goals into action plans. So it's something that you're working on every single day. So even though you have these small little actions and it feels like you're not making progress, you actually are. And that feels way more manageable than trying to chunk the whole goal out in one sitting. It makes it so much easier on you and so much less stressful as well. When we talked a couple weeks ago, we talked about setting time aside to make sure that you're reviewing everything that's going on. And while you're reviewing, this is the perfect time to review your 12-week year goals. You want to make notes about what is your most productive time of the day. Also recommend schedule blocking. And there's some things to be said for even under scheduling. So if you know that it could potentially take you 3 hours, but you schedule 4 just in case, that's totally understandable. I feel like the Pomodoro method is very effective. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's these small chunks of time followed by a break, and then you start another chunk of time. Now, there's tons of apps everywhere online that you can use. If you've seen my timers, that's a similar aspect of it, but it's not digital, of course, it's just analog. But I find that it's less distracting sometimes to use those little tools rather than setting something on my phone because then I might get distracted by Instagram or scrolling, something like that. So having separate things can make a huge difference. Now, you've got to determine if you are most effective in the morning or at night. Whatever works for you, you want to make sure that you're tracking that to make sure that you are being the most effective with your time. Now, because I've seen the praises of 12-week year all the time, I want you to be aware of some potential pitfalls that I myself have fallen into as well as some other people as well. One of them is setting unrealistic goals. So trying to cram too much into the 12-week year, it's just not going to work. It'll leave you feeling discouraged and just let down, to be honest. So you want to make sure that the objectives that you're working towards are ones you can accomplish without overextending yourself and causing unnecessary stress to you or your coworkers or your family. Like any new program, you don't want to do too much too soon. So if you're first getting started with a 12-week year or something similar, it's better to start slow and then ramp up because you don't want to fit a ton of stuff in and then have it not work out for you and just give up and then throw the whole thing away. That's definitely not what you want to do. The goal is to do these small steps and move forward every single 12 weeks. Another big mistake is not tracking your progress. Have you ever had a situation where the day passes by, it's the end of the day, and you're like, I literally got nothing done. What have I accomplished? By making sure that you're tracking your progress will alleviate a ton of that feelings about what did I do this today? I like to use the 12-week planner to track my progress, but you could do it on a spreadsheet, you could download one of the worksheets or use the workbook. Whatever it is you're doing, you want to make sure that you are tracking your progress because you don't want to get to the end of the 12 weeks and feel like you're currently feeling now. Like you're like, what did I even get done? What was this recalibration step she was talking about? I really didn't feel like I got anything done. Another big thing that I think is super important is having an accountability partner. Someone you can check in with and say, hey, where are you at with your goals? It's the first of the month. What did you get done last month? What's happening? Are you on track with everything? Are you struggling with something? What is a part that you are missing that I could help you with? Having a buddy when you're going through this process makes things so much easier, and it's more likely that you'll finish it because you're checking in with someone every single week, every single day, whatever you set it, but at least you've got someone to bounce ideas off of and work through any situations that might come up. Now, there's a lot of people out there that talk about what's similar to 12-week year, and 12-week year might not be for you, but it might also be a system that does work, or maybe there's a system out there that has a shorter time frame. I know there's lots of talk about doing 30-day chunks or 60-day chunks instead of 90-day chunks like the 12-week year. And whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're out there looking for the system that fits for you, because recalibrating after every cycle is so important. Celebrating those wins, like we're going to talk about in a couple weeks, will totally be worth it. I've got some examples of that coming up, so make sure that you tune in for that episode. Now, one thing that I want to talk about with you is next week's Q&A, because I really want you to dive into this recalibration thought and work on that. So it's not 12-week year, find another system that works for you so you can chunk down those big goals, make a list of priorities for each of those goals, and start chipping away at that list. It's so important, and you want to make sure that you're moving your goals forward every single day.